I'm a little handicapped now because I asked your Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Avrohom Shlita, how long should I speak? So he told me there's no limit. No limit. So I thought at least I would speak after supper. But now before the main course, with no limit, a little bit of a handicap. It's also extremely difficult for me to speak at all in this occasion because of the very deep regoshim. Besides speaking about the nifter of Elimelech, Kohn, just the very fact coming to visit Riverdale Yeshiva. I've been here different times, but I never was here with the new buildings, the new base medrash, and the new dining room, so it's absolutely magnificent, very inspiring. It's very hard for me to speak about Elimelech Kohn to the Olam that's here. So the very choshev Talmidim from the Yeshiva and very choshev Balabatim, because your Elimelech Kohn is not my Elimelech Kohn. It's a different Elimelech Kohn. By me, Elimelech Kohn is first is Tommy, and he's a little bar mitzvah bachar walking into the yeshiva, just bar mitzvah, and growing up in the yeshiva, and my relationship with Elimelech Kohn and Elimelech was followed his brother Moshe Kohn. Paul Kohn was first his brother, his older brother, came to the yeshiva, and Baruch Hashem, Paul Kohn became a great Ben Torah, a Moiker Torah, a Machzik Torah, one of the finest Balabatim in Detroit, and he left over a Gewaldik Mishpacha, Meredik Mishpacha, Bonim and Bonos and Adams, and Gewaldik Mishpacha, that they're like my children. And it was followed by his younger brother, Elimelech, came to Yeshiva just after Bar Mitzvah. And what can I say about Elimelech? Baruch Hashem, I've been a Rosh Yeshiva already in Chicago now for 53 years, Baruch Hashem. I've had, Baruch Hashem, many Talmidim. Sometimes in the early years of the yeshiva, I wondered to myself, what am I doing here in Chicago? What am I doing here? I wish I would be on the East Coast, in the New York, New Jersey area. If I would be there, you know, I think I could accomplish very much more. So sometimes I was troubled. What am I doing here? Well, there's many answers to that problem. But one of the answers is Rabbi Elimelech Kohn is an answer. It's an answer. Why the Rebbe Shem sent me to start a yeshiva in Chicago. We're speaking about starting the yeshiva in Chicago, and it's already 53 years ago. I have to mention my Rebbe, Marina Rabbeinu, Chaim Mordechai Ketz, Zecher Tzaddik Livrocha, whose yortzeit is tomorrow. His yortzeit is tomorrow, Yud Beis Kislev. He sent us 53 years ago, sent myself together with Chaim Shmelzer, Chaim Livrocha, and he picked out 12 of his best bochrim, 12 of his best bochrim that he had in Cleveland. He sent us to Chicago, that we should start Yeshiva in Chicago. So one of the answers, what am I doing here? One of the answers of Elimelech Kohn, Baruch Hashem. As soon as he walked into the Yeshiva, his knickers, such a little boy, Azab Al-Kishain, so an off in the cup, a tremendous Al-Kishain, off in the cup, and Ilui. Right away, a Masmid, a Oyev Torah, an Amkan, a Lamdan. And we saw right away in him that this is not a simple boy. This is somebody that has tremendous potential, great potential. By the time he graduated high school, he was the valedictorian, and he said a valedictory speech, which I don't think they keep records of all the valedictory speeches. If they would, I think this probably would be the most outstanding valedictory speech ever delivered in an American high school. I don't think we have a record of it. But there was a simon of things to come. Simon of things to come. After he was in Yeshiva for many years, in Shtagdois, it was on his way toward godless. Maybe he was at that time about 20. So his mother, Sholem, Mrs. Motner, was very close friend of my father, and to us, we became mamish like mishpacha. So she wanted she knew what kind of son she has, so she wanted to send him to college. So I convinced her that time. I told her, all right, I'm going to send him to a graduate school. I'm sending him to a graduate school. So I sent him to a graduate school, Telshe Yeshiva in Cleveland. And I convinced her. It was. Baruch Hashem, he went to Cleveland and he learned there for many years. Became such a godel b'Torah. But he was makabel, the Iki Yisoidus from Tels. You could say, Iki Yisoidus from Tels is one thing. Let's say two things, which is we could say is Iki Yisoidus from Tels. One is that the Tachlis Sa'odam B'Elam is Kiddush Shem Shamayim. The Iki Yisoid that our Rosh Yeshivas told us, the Iki that they always spoke. The Iki Tachlis of a person is Kiddush Shem Shamayim. And the second point is the Achrayus for Klal Yisrael. Every person has a responsibility for Klal Yisrael. And every person in his life should use his koiches. Try to use his koiches. Develop his koiches for Klal Yisrael. But in order to be poil for Klal Yisrael, a person has to prepare himself. A person has to be, Rabbi Yoina says, a person has to be a kli shores. A person is a kli shores in avodas Hashem, but he has to make himself into a kli shores. Rabbi Yoina says in Shar Gimel, Amoid is boin in godel chiyuveinu l'karis es Hashem. Ike ma shekitshona Hashem yisborach v'terosei v'mitzvoisov. If the lonu liyos lo liam k'dei l'katshoy u'liyiro mimenu. The main purpose by the Rebbe Shem chose us that we should be kli shores, we should be the vessels to bring Kiddush Shem Shemayim into the world. Royu sheyiyu makdishov kedoshim. It's proper that makdishov, those that sanctify the name of Hashem, those that sanctify Hashem, they should be kedoshim. So there has to be a time of preparation. The time that a person is in yeshiva has to be a preparation for his future life. but it has to be a whole life of Kiddush Shem Shamayim. And he has to carry the achrayas of Kiddush Shem Shamayim. And nobody knows exactly where he's going to be later in life. Nobody knows where he's going to be. So our Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Elimelech, says, we printed it in Penina Das and Parashat Bamidbar, when he speaks about the Golim, he says, "Ne Yisrael nikra tzva Hashem." Klal Yisrael is called the army of Hashem, and every soldier has to remain on his position. Every soldier has a position in life. If a soldier leaves his position to do someone else's job, he can be court-martialed. Every soldier has his job. We're an army of the Ben Shalom. The limud choshev l'chol ben Yisrael shetzorich la'amod al mishmartoi. Every single Jew has to stand on his post, ulakayim choyvoisov, and fulfill his obligations asher hutalol of mitzad hashgocha that were thrown upon him from the hashgocha. He ain't. So this is a very important statement. He ain't lachom mokom v'oifen achayim. There's no place in life, and there's no situation in life. Shlayuchol ben Yisrael l'kadosh Shem Shemayim. That a Jew can't be mekadosh Shem Shemayim, sanctify the name, the Shem Hashem, no matter where he's placed in life, wherever he's doing. There's no mokom. There's no oifen achayim. But there's a hashgocha pratis on every single person where he's placed. Where he's placed, and he can be mekadosh Shem Shemayim if he develops himself, if he prepares himself to be this klishores, he can be mekadosh Shem Shemayim wherever he is. Since it's the yahrzeit of our Rabbi, it's yahrzeit. So let me tell you what he told me. He said, every person in his life, if he wants to know what should he do, where should he go, he should look for the finger of Hashgocha. The finger of Hashgocha points to each person and directs him where he should go. And he told me a person should never fight Hashgocha. Don't fight Hashgocha. If you see where the finger of Hashgocha is pointing, follow that finger of Hashgocha. Like our Rabbi, Rabbi Elimelech, says in the Avrohom by David HaMelech, and Yonason, it says, Yonason told him, Lech kishilachu Hashem, im achetzi bimcha v'holo, lech kishilachu Hashem. If you'll see that the arrow is pointing, that you have to run away, lech kishilachu Hashem. So you're not a refugee. You have a shlichus. You have a mission in life. Your mission is go there. That's where you're supposed to go. Lech kishilachu Hashem. So I heard this from Rabbi himself in the early years. I heard him speaking. From the Piv country. He said, we know, the Rebbe Shalom pointed the finger to us, Lech kishilachu Hashem. We're not refugees. We're sent here because we're Lech kishilachu Hashem. We're supposed to build Torah. We're supposed to build. We have a shlichus to build Torah. But every person has to see in his life, Lech kishilachu Hashem. Where is the finger? Where is that finger of Hashgocha pointing to him? So Elimelech Kohn developed himself tremendous koiches, outstanding koiches. I would consider him like a genius cop. And the development of it, Tamachacham Godel, an Amkin, somebody could think through things deeply, and he had a Losher Limudim, he had a wonderful way of presenting things, the deepest thoughts he could present, Barichas. God, he was a Mayach, it wasn't a Mekatzer, it was a Mayach, but thought through, every single point was thought through. Every single point was emes, like was mentioned before. Emes, accurate, ausgehalten, durchgetracht. It's nicht stam gesagt. He didn't say any droshes here. Everything he said was thought through. He delivered a shir. He could have been, Elimelech had koiches to be a Rosh Yeshiva in the biggest yeshiva. He had those talents. He had talents to be HaRav in any shul in the United States. He had those talents. He could have been a Rav. He had the talents to be an outstanding Rav, and the talents to be an outstanding mechanech, an outstanding Rosh Yeshiva. And the finger of Azkarah pointed to him, and the finger of Azkarah said, Elimelech, go to Riverdale. Go to Riverdale. And under the leadership of your Rosh Yeshiva, he was zeicher to work together under the leadership of Avrohom for so many years, I believe 25 years. He was zeicher. But the finger of Azkarah pointed to him and said, work with Balabatim. Teach Balabatim. Don't teach Balabatim like some of the other shurim. It's elementary shurim. Deep shurim, the deepest shurim. Deepest chachma, deepest Torah. Amkas with clarity and with depth. And make it appealing. Make it appealing to Balabatim. That was his shlichus. And he was mamale his shlichus. Lech yishilacha Hashem. He was mamale his shlichus. Elimelech left this world at a very young age. He was very young when he left. We would have very much liked to see him for many, many long years. The truth of the matter is that nobody lives forever. Nobody lives forever. And no matter how long a person lives, the lifespan is short. No matter how long he lives, his lifespan is short. Well-known Rabbi Yoina and Sharasheni, Kol Anshe Levov Yechashvu. Any person with feeling, a thinking person should understand that this world is only a dirasare, only a temporary situation. V'yishtamish boy, and he should only utilize this world la'avoda saberis borach, for service of Hashem. V'yachinu lo'tzeda l'nafshim, preparing for themselves, preparing to take things along with them. Kim, so he says a Meredith statement. Kim shonim rabos yichi odom. A person would live very long. V'ilu choyo elef shonim pamoyim, and if he would live 2,000 years. Achesh yes mispor l'shana, but there's 2,000 is also a mispor. It's a certain amount that's going to end. It will eventually end. Yechala mispor, that eventually it will end with Soifer Kalahoyo year. And at the end, it'll be as if it never was from before. Olam Agmul Ein Latachlis. Olam Haba has no end to it. It's eternal. And certainly he says, but it's not, the person doesn't live 2,000 years. Yameinu Kitseil Oiver. Our days pass by like a fleeting shadow. Yomov Kitseil Oiver, it says a pasuk. So Chazal say, what does it mean, the shadow? What kind of shadow? His days pass by like a shadow. What kind of shadow is it? It's not the shadow of an elan, of a tree, or the shadow of a wall. Also very, very little. What is a shadow of a tree is almost a nothing. The shadow of a wall is almost a nothing. It's Ketseil Oiv Apareach, but like the shadow of a fleeting bird. That's what life is all about. It's like the shadow of a fleeting bird. Yomov Ketseil Oiver. Then Rabbi Yoina used a lashon, which only Rabbi Yoina could say that lashon. Ki chayev lodam v'ham shel oilam hazeh bilvova Ketseil Oiv Apareach. Rabbi Yoina, there's different chiyuvim than by most of us. A person is chayev. A person is obligated to look at this world and consider the world like a passing shadow. Like a passing shadow is mechuyev. He says, but even if a person would live 2,000 years, it's also going to come to an end. And there were Pasha in the Oid, if you would have gone over to Mishra Shalach, who lived the longest of anybody in the world, He didn't live 2,000 years either, close to 1,000. But if you would have gone over to him right near the end of his life and say, wasn't it such a long life? He would tell you, yeah, but it passed by like the shadow of a fleeting bird. It passed by like the shadow of a fleeting bird. I'm not 2,000 years old, but I'm older than most of you here. But I recently was at a bar mitzvah of a grandson. It was a bar mitzvah of a grandson. So I was thinking, I'm speaking here at the bar mitzvah of my grandson. I remember it was just yesterday I was speaking at the bar mitzvah of my son. Not only that, but it was just yesterday I was saying my pilpul at my own bar mitzvah. It passed by, could sail over. It's not more than a fleeting shadow. So no matter how long a person lives, it's not enough, and it's going to pass by. The ikar is not how long a person lives. The main thing is to utilize every single day. Avrohom zokem bo bayomim. It's not a question of years, it's a question of days. Utilize every single day. And the ikar is our Rosh Yeshiva Rabbi Bloch told us in the 40s, he said, if we're going to build Torah in America, it's only if we show the Talmidim the Simchas HaTorah. You're not going to build Torah with atzvus. Torah will not be built in America with sadness, only with simcha. So everything you do, no matter what your situation, and they could talk, the Rosh Yeshivas, what they went through. They could talk, no matter what they went through. But you teach, Torah has to be with simcha, only with simcha. And it's astounding. Those people that learn Rabbi Yaina, we work a lot of Rabbi Yaina, and he speaks so many places about Misa. So many places he speaks about death. And in no place is there even a tinge of sadness. No sadness. No sadness. Nowhere Rabbi Yaina, when he speaks about, is there a tinge of sadness. Only chizuk. Only chazak v'nitz chazek. Realize that life is short and don't waste time. No one knows how many years he's going to live. Some people are granted to live longer and some people shorter. Don't waste time. Utilize every single day. Rabbi Yaina says, there's not even a hint of sadness. No atzvus. Only simcha. Only chizuk. Chazak v'nis chazek. Only simcha. Only simcha. So if we stand at a sad occasion, we shouldn't be sad for such an occasion. We should be inspired to use our lives for Kiddush Shem Shemayim. Everyone should utilize his life for Kiddush Shem Shemayim. There's not even a tinge of sadness in Rabbi Yaina discussing Misa. Only chizuk. Chazak v'nis chazek. And let me end by saying, let's look at Moshe Rabbeinu's last day. Moshe Rabbeinu's last day. We learned the Parsha Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu's last day. There's not even a hint of sadness. No sadness. Only chizuk. Moshe Rabbeinu's last day was only bracha. Zois ha-bracha. Only bracha. Only chizuk. He wrote 13 Sifrei Torahs in his last day. Only bracha. Only chizuk. Zois ha-bracha. Only bracha. You know, he was leaving the world. Leave with bracha. Leave with chizuk. Only the last half moment of his life, he said a shtickle musar. It's a meridika yalkut. I just have to say it. The chotzi rega, he told him a little bit musar. The whole time was only chizuk. The last second, he said it says in the yalkut, the Pashvi Eschana, they came to Moshe and they told him, Igia rega sha'ato nifta min oilam. You have one more minute to live, they told him. Pasach v'Omar. So he said, we would think he would say Shema Yisrael. He didn't say Shema Yisrael. He said, Baruch Shmoi, Chai v'Kayom l'oilam voyet. I once heard from a Chaim, it's important to learn these words because Moshe Rabbeinu said them at the end. Baruch Shmoi, Chai v'kayom lo'elam voed. That was one rega before he passed away. And then it was chotzi rega, 1/2 a moment, 1/2 a minute before he passed away. And they called him, you listen, you have another chotzi rega. No, chotzi rega, this is already used for shtikala, a musr, a little musr. He took his 2 hands, when Nostam al-Liba put on his heart, the Omar Yisrael, he told all the Jews there, V'u achrisoy shel boser v'dom. Zet was wert von a mensch. He said, V'u, it's a medrash in Yalkut. It's in the Tanchum also. It's in Yalkut Shimoin in the Azkarah. He told them, V'u achrisoy shel boser v'dom. They say over the same thing about the Mir Rosh Yeshiva. Chaim Shulem, the Mir Rosh Yeshiva, when he was the biggest, greatest darshan, he was already holding near the end. Was a Seshmei Tshuva. He couldn't speak. Bring me up to the bima. What he's going to say? Run up to the bima. They carried him up. He stood up and he said only one thing: Zet was wert von a mensch. See what happens to a human being. Okay, that's Moshe Rabbeinu. The chotzi rega he used for Musar. But besides that, kulei chizuk. Chazak, chazak, when he's chazak. So is Avrohom. So, we were zoicha, you were all zoicha, that they have for some years, that the Rebbe granted us, that we could have Elimelech come with us, and he could teach us Torah, with Amkes, with Havana, with Geschmack. It's a schus. But what should we do right now? One thing we should do: chazak, chazak, v'nis chazak. Everyone should be mechazek themselves to more Torah, more Yerushalayim, more avodas Hashem. We should be zoichet b'mherat Mashiach Tzidkeinu, and we should all be zoichet to hear only besuras toivas Yeshuas v'nachamis. Amen.